Welcome everybody to our next demo today. We are here with Fight Club and Bankless DAO, and today we actually are graced by Bankless DAO builders. Gov and Kaidao have been involved with Bankless DAO for quite a long time, and they're building a super cool product called Supercluster Labs. There is quite a bit to it, but on the surface level, it is easily share your documents with the right people using any Web3 primitive. So if you've got an NFT, you can get access to your content or tools using any ERC 721 or ERC 1155. You can set up a snapshot, allow access to engaged members who vote on your snapshot proposals. So, excuse me, not set up a snapshot, but use snapshot rather to grant access to docs and certain areas. So yeah, here we've got Kaidao and Gov. Really looking forward to hearing more about it. Take it away.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having us. Super excited to be here. And yeah, just like what you introed with, we actually. So what's funny, we actually came in building a decentralized file sharing application with exactly the value proposition that you were talking about. We wanted to make it super easy for users to store their files on a decentralized network and then also share their files to the right people using Web3 primitives like NFTs, tokens, POAPs, snapshot proposals, like all of these things. We actually built the MVP for this decentralized file sharing application about 2 days into ETH Denver. We finished it and then we started showing it to people. But what became really clear to us was that while people were semi-excited for the file sharing aspect, they really liked the access management piece, which was being able to gate any kind of content using Web3 primitives and engagement primitives. And so the idea was, well, why don't we take that specific piece and build that into an interoperable access management platform that we can then plug into all the tools that teams already use, right? So things like Notion, things like Google Drive. And literally, I think 2 days, so 2 days before ETH Denver ended, which was about a week and a half ago, we pivoted our product and started, built a new website, built a new product deck, as you'll see in a second, as well as a new MVP for what this would look like. And so getting into the product itself, we're calling it the Supercluster Airlock to make sure the right people get into the tools that your community uses. But what we're really doing is enabling team management for communities like Bankless. When you kind of break down the problem, there's really two main pieces of why it's so hard to manage collaboration tools in a community. The first one is anonymous team members. So a lot of your team members, as you all know, are anonymous by nature. They might have a Discord login, but you don't know their emails and you definitely don't know their first and last names, right? The problem with collaboration tools, especially Web2 collaboration tools, is that authentication is typically based on emails. And so if you're a team lead and you're the one managing these collaboration tools, I'm sure you felt the pain of having to go and get everyone's emails and then manually, add them to the tools that they should have access to and then remove them, when they shouldn't. The second problem is temporary contributors, right? So especially in a DAO environment, you have people coming in and contributing for one season and maybe leaving the next or moving to a different team the next season. So it becomes extremely expensive and difficult for especially team leads to manage this, because essentially like every day, every time someone needs to have any kind of update to their collaboration platform or access to it, they have to go in and manually add in and remove their email. So these are really the two problems that we're fixing. And I'm going to show a demo of the Notion integration at first. But what we're building is essentially an access management platform based on community engagement. And really the three things is we're combining authentication using Web2 and Web3 credentials. Users can log in with Discord, their wallet, their email address if they want to. And then on the admin side, they can define the access requirements. For instance, users with a core team role on Discord and at least 3 votes on any proposal on Snapshot will have access to any of the existing tools that they already use, right? So they can have access to a specific database within Notion, which is what we're going to be showing. As far as our product goes, our goal is to have like 4 main features. The first is cohort management. Basically what I just kind of covered. You're able to define unique access requirements for every cohort, every group of contributors that are coming in and out of your organization. The second is defining your access requirements and then automating those access controls, meaning that you can set your access requirements and then forget about them, right? So like as users request access to certain tools, our system handles whether they should have access or not. You don't have to manually, add in and remove emails anymore. The third is contributor onboarding, right? And so if you've ever used anything like Okta in a Web2 setting, it makes it super easy for a new contributor to come in and see all the tools that your team uses already, right? And so it becomes a much more streamlined contributor onboarding process where they come in and they know exactly what tools that your team uses and what tools that they personally. Thing is engagement tracking. So this is, I think, something very unique in the Web3 world, which is a lot of the engagement that you do within a community, like your Snapshot proposals, working on your documents on, like, say, Wonderverse, or doing completing bounties. Like all of these can be tracked on chain. And what we'd like to do is to make sure that as you engage with the community more, you should have access to more tools and more applications that your team uses. And so we're calling this kind of like engagement tracking, but really it's a dynamic access control based system. Cool. I'm going to end there. I'm going to actually just jump into the demo. So like I mentioned, we started building this POC about a week and a half ago. So it's a little bit rough in terms of the UI, but it kind of shows what we are doing in terms of like automating the Notion access management. So you go in, and this is our private, Notion database. Let's say you create a super secret database here. This is for testing. And one thing that I want to show here is that I'm actually going to remove, sorry, this is when I was testing. I'm going to remove access for myself. And right here, the only people that has access to this database is the people within our Supercluster team, which right now is just, Gov and I.
Does this have to be set up as like an org account or something in order to do that? Because I don't see those same options from my Notion. Maybe I just am not.
You mean for share?
Yeah, for sharing options.
Actually, any database, you should have these two options.
The database specifically, not necessarily the page, is that it?
Yeah, potentially I think even pages you should have these options.
Yeah, because I can create oh no, it's okay. Maybe I was possibly using it from not logged in account at that point in time. Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah. So so this is if you're like an admin within your workspace, right? Mm-hmm. So really the two main ways that an admin can give edit access to, let's say I want to give edit access to my team here. Number one is, like I mentioned, you have to gather all of your team's emails and then input them one by one here, right? And then obviously, when they leave, you have to remove them automatically or manually. It's kind of a headache. The second option is you can share the web, right? So you can click this, you can allow editing, and then anyone with this web link will be able to come in here and then make any edits. Now, the problem with this is while it's super easy, it's a significant security vulnerability. Right.
As we saw here in Bankless DAO.
Right. Exactly. I was going to bring up the example, but
I'll wait for you. I'll wait for you to bring it up when you're ready, because you were integral at that point in time within Bankless DAO, and you kind of took over this whole Notion stream. So I know you're speaking from personal experience.
Yeah, I mean, it was just really difficult, and we had a couple of incidents in terms of the security where an individual or someone would come in, and because the database or the workspace was editable to the entire public, people could come in and change any of the information on here, right? So there are a couple of incidents where people like changed wallet addresses for that team, and it just became a severe security concern at that time. And we actually just learned that there's a couple of DAOs out there that had the same kind of problem where they had sensitive information like a Google Doc, and someone accidentally got access to it, and then changed the information there, and it's a nightmare. Like that shouldn't happen, right? Especially for any kind of like community or organization. So yeah, moving forward, like I mentioned, there's these two ways that you can do it, and each are suboptimal at best. So what I'm going to show here is when an admin actually goes through our system, right? So the first thing that they do is they connect their wallet, and I'm going to connect this wallet here. And then the first thing that an admin wants to do is to figure out, okay, what are the which database do I want to set access requirements for, and what those access requirements should be, right? So we're calling access requirements airlock, per our brand. So the first thing that you want to do is connect your Notion. It's going to ask you to give access to your Notion pages. Now I'm going to put everything here, but the one thing I want to make clear here is you're not giving access to everyone to all of your workspaces. You're going to see in a second that you're actually going to choose which database that you want to give, that you want to create an airlock for. You're just giving our app visibility into what databases that your workspace has. So I'm going to allow access. And then right here, you'll see, okay, now I'm pulling in all of your databases that you have available. So I'm going to choose the super secret database. I want to create an airlock for this. And right here, you get to choose, okay, what type of access controls do you want to use, right? So right now we have NFTs, tokens, and ETH addresses. Moving forward, we're going to integrate OAP. We're going to integrate snapshots, autospace badges, Discord roles. So like you can basically customize this however you want. For the purposes of this demo and within the last 1.5 weeks, we are going to choose NFTs, and we're going to get all the NFTs that this wallet has. So I actually minted an NFT called Fight Club Supercluster Access. I'm going to choose this, and then I'm going to submit it. And you're going to see a pop-up that says Notion Airlock created. That means our system, you've submitted a access requirement to our system for a specific database. And now our system is listening for any access requests to your specific Notion database. And you're going to see what that kind of looks like. So I'm going to pop over here. You'll see here, I still don't, there's nothing that's really changed here, right? Like no one's requested access. No one's been given access to this database. We're at this point just listening to any access requests coming in. So this is a account that I set up, and what I'm going to show here is this account actually does have this NFT, right? So imagine this is an NFT that your team has provisioned to all the team members, giving you access to your team's tooling. So I'm going to connect the wallet. I'm going to connect this test account. Okay, so there's one thing I want to call out here. We're requiring, for this demo specifically, we're requiring a sign-in for, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. We're requiring a sign-in for Google. And the reason that we're doing this is because Notion themselves, they require an email for you to essentially inject a new user into your database. When we go live in about 2 weeks or so, let's say 2 to 3 weeks, we actually will not require anyone to enter in an email or connect their email. The reason we can do this is because on the back end, what we can do is actually provision a new email for the user for their credentials, and then use that as their essentially their pseudo email or their temporary email that they can use to access that database. We actually don't care what email it is. We just need something to put into place. So I just want to call that out because like, I know a lot of people don't want to log in with their emails. That's the kind of the whole point, and just want to make sure that you know, we're not going to be doing that, or not. We're not going to be requiring it, at least.
Thanks for sharing that, because that's a great point. And with regards to the burner email, does it just create a new one for every single different account that you, or for every different workspace that you log into?
Yeah, or you could share the same one as well.
Yeah, that's configurable. So we're probably gonna like incrementally roll out that feature.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to just link up my personal Gmail here, and you'll see, this is my personal kaihuang724@gmail.com. And then I'm going to request access to the Notion, and you'll see Notion access granted. Now, if you go over here, you'll see that email, my personal email, was automatically injected into this database as a user with full access, which means that I can now go into this database as this user and be able to make any edits that I want. If I go out one step to this engineering workspace, you'll see that that user was not injected here, right? So this user actually doesn't have access to any other page except for the database that I set up the airlock for. And I think this is really important because what you can do as an admin is you can gate specific databases that you want to gate access to while keeping others private. And I think that's really important because you don't want to just like give, carte blanche access to like everything within your workspace all at once, which is coming from the Notion workstream, which is often a thing we did to make the process more manageable. But yeah, so that's kind of the main thing, right? Like you can imagine from an admin perspective, I didn't have to go and request, or I didn't have to go and get this person's email. They did everything themselves, and then the system handled the injection of the user or the access control for the user automatically. The last thing that I wanted to show here is this user on the right side is not supposed to have access. So you'll see this is a brand new account that I just created. There's no NFTs in here. And then when you connect your wallet, I'm gonna, so this is the info@supercluster.dev. I already signed in here. But when I request access to the Notion, it says Notion access denied, and no user gets created on this end. And this person is unauthorized and locked out. So yeah, that's the basis of it. I think this kind of like shows the automation portion that will make most people's lives easier, especially for those who like manage Notion workspaces. They could, instead of like having to do things manually, they can use our tool to automate a lot of this. Obviously our goal is to expand out from Notion. We want to like integrate with Google Drive, Asana, Trello, like all the tools that your team is currently using. What's really cool about Web3 primitives is that it makes it super easy to use those primitives to provide access to things and show that you're a engaged part of the community.
Nice. Yeah, I love the fact that you started in Notion, because that is a huge pain point. It's such a great tool. But they have that one little thing which makes you kind of have to go for an enterprise account, right? And that
Exactly.
Bankless DAO got stuck in that, where we had to either share everything, or it became a massive headache to manage any of it, and impossible to a degree.
Yeah. So actually, that's a very good point that I didn't bring up. Is like you'll notice here that the injected user is a guest, right? So I believe I'm pretty sure this is true, that like you can actually have unlimited guest users, but you can't like the seats that you actually have available for the people like within, the supercluster are limited, right? So like the actual members of your organization are very limited, and like the next tier up is when you start getting into like enterprise pricing. So this is a really good way for you to minimize the need to upgrade your tiers. Obviously, it's more about optimization rather than just like pure cost savings. Yeah, it's a good point to bring up.
Yeah. So, what is immediate next steps with, you mentioned Asana, Trello, a couple other tools out there. What are you working on currently, and what can we expect to see next?
Yeah. Well, number one, we definitely want to make the UI nicer. So this idea of kind of this contributor onboarding dashboard where when you request access to the DAO, you will get a bunch of tools that you should have, or that you do have access to, and that you can then link directly from your dashboard. Like that's number one. And then another one is just like additional kind of like primitive integrations. Like I mentioned, like the Pro apps, the OtterSpace badges, like all of those are access requirement primitives that we want to implement so people can start using them.
Yeah, and we also want admins to be able to kind of see what members they have, and define a little bit more fine-grained access when we release, like obviously to remove users and maybe even put them in a block list, and also have time-based access control. A lot of stuff in Bankless, like perhaps, for example, works in seasons. So we want to kind of like bring out those natural workflows and automate them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, the time-based access is really cool. If you're working on a project for a week or two, you can get access and then get kicked out and have to re-request, kind of like a guest pass. That's awesome.
Yep.
Now you mentioned also being able to have a bit more of a bird's eye view, being able to see who's accessing it and what they can access. What about in terms of like the data that they produce? Can we see any sort of edits that they may have made, or is that going too granular for now?
I don't think. Sorry, Gov. Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say really quick, like I think that's actually like something we're thinking about deeply, because there's a lot of potential there. First of all, like we don't want this data belongs to the DAO, so when this at no point are we actually going to be doing anything with this data that's nefarious or profiting from that data itself. I just want to put that out there. But more so, I think there's even a potential for members to kind of like track their own engagements. Surely for admins to track the member engagement, but members maybe perhaps can take their engagement from one DAO or one team and transfer it to another, and use that like as reputation that transfers over to another DAO. So that's something we're kind of thinking about. It's sort of in the early stages, but that's something that we're pretty excited about.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So sort of earning credentials through your participation and taking those elsewhere and using those to unlock other areas.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. We got a great little crowd who's joined us today. I did see Ornella in here for a minute. She was looking forward to this demo, but she may have had to go somewhere. So yeah, any questions from our crowd today? Don't be shy. These are BDAO members. You can just tell them what you really think.
Grill us.
Yeah. Yeah, so in terms of roadmap, we discussed some of the new tools that you're going to implement. Do you have anything big on the horizon in terms of release dates? I know you've been involved with the Filecoin accelerator program. So
Yep.
do they expect updates on a regular basis, or how does that work?
Yeah. We do, touch base with them pretty much like on a weekly or multiple times a week basis. So as far as like our product roadmap goes, they were super thrilled. Well, they were very surprised and excited about this like new product pivot that we did, mainly because I think it's like everyone we've talked to has it's kind of clicked for them that this is a immediate problem that we're hoping to solve for a lot of team members. As far as like our product roadmap goes and any releases, we are actually planning on releasing this Notion integration to the public within, I want to say, like the second week of April, so in about 3 weeks or so.
Nice.
And so we would love if anyone like uses Notion in their community and are sick of just like managing all the users manually, please reach out or visit our website, supercluster.dev, and sign up for our waitlist. We have we've opened up our our alpha access to the public, and we're like accepting people to come in and try out the product as we get nearer to launch. So yeah, if you guys are tired of spending hours just managing people within your Notion, please reach out. I'd love to hear about it.
Well, that link will be in the show notes. What's the best place to tell users to go if they're listening now?
Yeah, definitely our website. Definitely our website. There's a sign up button for our wait list. We reach out to people on our wait list on a recurring basis, get them onboarded, learn about their problems. So yeah.
Nice. So how do you plan on monetizing this? I can only imagine that the first iteration is going to be free to trial,
Yep.
and then there's going to be some sort of paid version later on down the road.
Yeah. We're going to be listening to the market on this. So our first versions are going to be free. We are likely going to have something similar to a Zapier model where there's going to be tiers based off of tooling integrations as well as just the volume of like people coming in and out of your organization. But it's TBD at this point.
Nice. Let's rewind just a little bit.
Sure.
A lot of us know you and Gov just through passing here, but why don't each of you just tell us quickly what got you involved here at Bankless DAO and what excites you about Web3?
Awesome. Yeah. Gov, do you want to go first?
Yeah. So I'll start with the second question first. I've been involved in Web3, I think, since I want to say like 2016 or so. Someone sent me the Bitcoin white paper. I also used to like kind of derp around the deep web. And I found this Bitcoin thing, and when I read the white paper, I was like, wow, this is really kind of mind-blowing. And then all that happened again when I read the Ethereum white paper. So I decided to kind of invest my career in this. So I've been doing a bunch of Web3 projects, and even previously another startup where I was working in Web3. But that was kind of more focused on like governments actually. So I decided to leave that life and focus more on community. And I spent the last year, 2022, just kind of like looking through various DAOs and trying to get involved in open source projects. And about halfway through the year, I met Kai and a couple other BDAO folk at HackFS, where we built out the initial prototype for Supercluster, and that kind of brings us to here.
Nice. All right. And you, Kai?
Yeah. So I got started in I guess learned about crypto in 2018. Kind of got into it more from an investment perspective, and then didn't really dive in head first until about 2019, 2020. Started like experimenting with Ethereum and developing on Ethereum. And then learned about DAOs. Actually, I think I learned about DAOs through like the Bankless, podcast. And I was just like really excited about this idea of a group of people, anonymous people coming together, building a community, and then trying to produce something of value, And I think like from a work perspective, it just like it made so much sense to me, because uh, I think for most people, like they, if given the choice, you would want to work on something that you're passionate about, and with a community that are also kind of working on something that they're passionate about. And DAOs to me are kind of the perfect experiment to try and do this. And it's kind of like an evolution of this migration over to like a gig economy in my mind. And so I got really interested in Bankless, joined Bankless, obviously started on the Notion workstream, which planted the seed of wanting to make collaboration easier within a community. And then I actually quit my Web2 job and joined MetaMask for about a year, and helped launch the portfolio DApp, this thing that I was showing. And that was up until end of January, and that's when we started the accelerator for Filecoin, hosted by Outlier Ventures, and then started doing this full time. And so, yeah, super happy to be here. I mean, it's just been a wild and amazing ride. So I'm excited to see where this goes.
Nice. Well, we're super stoked to have you both here, building within Bankless DAO, and I know you've already been spending some of that Filecoin capital within marketing department and within other areas here in Bankless DAO, and that's just it. It resonates with the whole vibe. We're all here building together, and rising tide lifts all ships.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, nice. Any other questions from our crowd today? See Gov, you type in there. Oh, Drost is typing. Come on, Drost. He's full of good questions. You come up on stage, Drost. It's quicker. There he is.
All right, I'll talk instead. Hey, Kaidao, how you doing?
How's it going?
Good. Hey, I'm sorry I have not followed up
Hey,
with you
Drost.
since East Denver. It was great seeing you and getting a chance to sit down over a crappy burger. And I really love the pivot. I'm sorry I missed the first part of the demo today. Would like to follow up with you again later. I wanted to just mention a couple things that folks may not be aware of. Dash.app, which we use at Bankless DAO for our media repository that some of the newer folks don't know about, including marketing. Different issue. But anyway, they just recently added a G Drive integration. So I don't know if you're familiar with that app that we're using, but we basically use it as a place to serve up various sizes of media assets, whether they are PNGs or SVGs or video files or whatever, on everything from Bankless Academy to everything, a lot of other stuff. But I guess what I'm getting at is it's kind of expensive. I mean, we're spending like $600 a month on that for the DAO. And all it's really doing is serving up those media files, which we then have to, either link in a Notion or whatever. Anyway, so I'm just wondering, I'm thinking, can we use your product's back end as that file repository for these things? But I'm not sure, this other tool we're using does have the ability to serve up various sizes and stuff, not just provide access control to documents. So it's kind of a different issue, but that's something that's kind of a pain point for us in terms of where we're storing that. And then just selfishly for me working on a podcast, we have to, and this is true with Crypto Sapiens, Quorum, anybody, they have to be on some pod hosting platform, whether it's RSS.com, go down the list, the Spotify, all the different providers. But those are basically hosting those files and then serving up the RSS feed and all that shit to the various pod platforms. And so that's another use case for having back-end file storage and then just serving it up through that. And I'm not sure what the technical side of that is, but anyway, those are a couple of pain points that I'm familiar with that might be able to be addressed too. I love what you've done with this Notion integration. That definitely solves a pain point for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. Like actually, before we pivoted, obviously, like our our main goal was to build that file sharing and file storage aspect, right? And we honestly, like, we still might. Like, there's the amazing thing about this space is that like there's so many really really cool projects that are innovating at every single level, right? And so like there's amazing storage providers out there. Like obviously we're using like IPFS, Filecoin, yeah, there's like a bunch of them out there. And so I don't see, I can definitely see a future in where instead of us just providing an access control layer to, let's say, Notion, we can also provide it to Web3 native storage solutions, right? So we provide the access controls, make sure that the files that you store on there get to the right people, but then we can also integrate with existing storage solutions that are already in production today.
Yeah, I just want to add one more thing on there. I think that's kind of what we want to be doing because there's so many of these tremendous Web3 tools that people are building out and putting a lot of work into. So I think we do want to get people to use these eventually, but I think it starts where we meet people where they are right now and we kind of help them solve the problems there, and then I think gradually that will help them kind of migrate over to these other really cool emerging tools.
Also, $600 a month is an insane price. That's, yeah.
Yeah, and that's real. That's US dollars. It's 1707 a quarter.
Yeah.
I finally got off my credit card. The Dow is paying for it now, but geez, I mean, that's a lot of money for us to be spending as a Dow for something that, if we could use a more general purpose file storage for it, that would be cool.
So,
Yeah, even like a Google Drive. I mean, I gotta say, with the Dash file management, it is pretty seamless. As you mentioned before, they serve up different sizes. They serve up embed codes. They've got a really great like a great upload screen where you have to fill in certain information. So you're not going to have untagged images. You're not going to have things without titles, and you can even accredit people. So it does go pretty deep on that level. And we did initially have conversations with the team, their team about Web3, and they were just not really interested in it. So it might actually be worth going back and having a chat with those guys and seeing if they're going to plan for any Web3 integrations. Something like this might even be attractive to them as well.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. We obviously, like, a lot of our tooling integrations are dependent on, what we can get access to, what we can reverse engineer from their APIs. But the great thing about Web3 tools is that, they're very open, right, to us partnering with them. So yeah, we'd love to, look at Dash App. I personally haven't seen Dash App yet, but I'll take a look at them. And, if there could potentially be an integration where we provide, access controls based off of Web3 into their system, like, that would be amazing. We would definitely love to bring them on board.
Yeah, I'll get your email.
That could be an interesting conversation. NF and NF, I don't know if you've had a conversation with the folks over there that I had connected you with a while back. I know they're in Brighton, and you're not near Brighton, or
No,
exactly where they're at in the UK. But yeah, no, that's definitely an interesting piece, and I'm happy to help connect you with them if you'd like, Kaidao. And then the other piece I just want to touch on, I didn't want to monopolize this, but talking about IPFS and this decentralized storage, not relying on Amazon. I remember we had a brief conversation about that. I think it was you and I about that, abstracting away Amazon, AWS, and so on. It was just kind of a hash pointer or something. Anyway, different conversation. The other thing I was thinking about is just in terms of Lens. I've been thinking about Lens a lot, and all the different apps that can be built on top of it. So from a media content creator standpoint, if let's say we're trying to publish a show, for example, and then those media files need to live somewhere. Well, when you do a post on Lens, I'm just trying to think this through. It's like, like with an episode of a show, you're publishing it, but then you're referencing it in the social media post, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where does the media actually live, right?
Yeah, I'm not too sure
Yeah, it's
actually.
a
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with the Lens protocol. Uh, I've honestly I've been trying to kind of like get in. I think they're still like in a private beta phase. But yeah, I would love to also take a look at their protocol because yeah, they're building something really needed in the ecosystem from what I understand about it. Just like being able to like decentralize your social graph, that concept in itself is fairly amazing.
yeah, exactly. And then, it's all that metadata related to the social graph, but then where is the media actually living? Um,
Yeah.
that's a deep
Is
dive and
that
a different
are they not
conversation. So,
storing all that stuff just on IPFS? I don't know. I've never actually looked into where they store that.
Zfi says in the chat here he thinks it's Arweave.
Oh, Arweave? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Over a certain point, it goes on IPFS. Okay, interesting. Well, ZFi, font of knowledge. We're looking into integrating LensTube, but we're just on YouTube at the minute. So expanding into Web3 videos very, very, very soon.
Mm.
So here's a scenario. Could you give access to a video on a live stream on LensTube, depending on NFT, someone holding NFT ownership or token ownership? Or
Yeah,
credentials?
absolutely.
Okay. Oh, Kaidao got rugged. Gov, you can take over for him there.
Sure. Oh, I see two Kaidaos in the audience now.
Oh, nice.
There are two Kaidas down there.
Oh, he's back.
Sorry, did okay. Yeah, my bad. I think my screen turned off by like my USB cable is like not doing very well.
Bummer. You're
But
back.
what I was saying, yeah, I'm back. What I was saying was that's the type of integration that we would want to do. Actually, like a really interesting potential integration is to look at using your social graph from Lens as a way to define your access requirements. I think that would be like a really interesting way for you to be able to like gate access to certain documents based off of friends of friends or like direct friends that basically using your social graph in various other collaboration tools. I would love to be able to do that.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. And then, you could even do things like integrate any other credential, like those SoShow credentials that we were just looking at before,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
maybe give certain people early access to a show. If you've been to every single show, you get access to the big live event at the end or something like that. I could imagine that working for sports. Yeah, very cool. No, we could definitely dive into this all day. I mean, for
We
Fight
sure
Club in
could.
particular, yeah, for Fight Club in particular, I think access to deal flow is just the one that uh, seems the most obvious. There's lots of other ways that we could use it operationally, and I don't know, what does it take to get that Notion integration going here at Bankless DAO, or is that too much of an ask?
No, not at all. Like we would definitely love to work with any team that uses Notion or any guild that uses Notion. If they need this tool, if they could make their process more optimized, just reach out to me. Get on the wait list. Obviously, I think a lot of people already are, but reach out to me if I haven't reached out to you yet. And then let's get you set up within like the next 2 weeks or so. We're going to be tightening up our code base to make sure that it's, production ready and it's solid. But we should be able to get you fully automated, hopefully within the next month.
That would be amazing. Nice. All right. Well, yeah, this has been a super informative demo. Really loving to see what you guys are building, both of you. Has your team expanded much at all? Or how are you planning to grow your team in the future?
Yeah, well, our core team hasn't expanded. It's just Gov and I right now. We have hiring plans and we have obviously people interested in contributing. We are looking to close our our early stage round by the end of April. And so, as soon as we close that round, we're ready to go. We're ready to hire. Would love to bring in people from Bankless to help out.
Amazing. And anywhere else on the internet, if you're listening to this now, coming in live, Supercluster Labs, and all the links are going to be in the show notes so you can find out how you can get a job working in Web3 yourselves. Bankless DAO is all about onboarding people to Web3 and creating user-friendly on-ramps to decentralized technologies. So that's what we're here doing, building it, making it better. Thanks, Drost, for coming in and being our guest host today. Bada bing, bada boom.
Oh, I wasn't it? I didn't know this was being recorded and published. Shit.
Well,
I'm still recovering
us
from
at the
COVID.
right time. We'll see you.
Oh,
See you Wednesday next week for the next installation. Oh, that's another announcement there. Wednesdays will now be the official demo day. They have always been the official demo day, and we decided to bring in a second day, and that was just too much hassle. We're gonna do them both on the same day, back to back, like we did today. Next week, currently we have one demo lined up with Slice, and they are like a Web3 marketplace for anything, like sell your own merch through them, that type of stuff. And I believe you get an NFT with it. There's a bunch of other features. So yeah, if there's a Web3 product or project out there that you want to see a demo of, just get them in touch. We're trying to streamline this whole work stream over here. So we want to get lots of demos through, lots of presenters, lots of builders, and show the world what Web3 is all about. Yeah, so with that said, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the crowd today, and peace out from Fight Club and Bankless DAO and all our friends here.
Thanks a lot, guys. Yeah, it was great to be here.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Gov. Thanks, Kaidao. Thanks, Z5 for the recording, and see y'all later.
Take care.